All right, welcome to another episode of Shenanigans. How y'all doing? It's your host, I'm Sharita, and I'm here to let you all know, for those who have been following us, thank you for your support. Continue downloading the podcast. We are on Amazon, Spotify, Alexa, and all your podcast streaming services and devices, with the exception of Google Podcasts. Did you know that Google Podcasts stopped the podcasting? Don't know why, but you can still find us. And then for those of you who do not know me, I am Sharita. I am a stand-up comedian. And what I do is I tell my stories of comedy and abroad, and also we meet people along the way and we promote them. So if you got a story to tell, if you have a product that you want to spotlight, if you're an entrepreneur, doesn't matter. Hit me up. Find me. We're going to put the social media handles where you can reach out to me. Or if you have questions, shoot them up to us and we'll put them on the next episode. So today, April 7th, it's a Sunday and it's early, if you can't tell by my voice. So just got back from San Antonio. We did a week comedy tour in San Antonio. It was the first ever Femme Fiesta comedy in San Antonio. And we're going to talk about that today. It was by Upstage Lounge in San Antonio on Walsham Road. And shout out to the sponsors. We had the La Chamoy, who had chamoy candy wrapped around pickles. It was pretty good. So hit them up. And then we had Emma Ruiz with the Chingona Comedy. She was one of the sponsors, so thank you for that. And we had a few other sponsors. I'm so sorry I can't remember them all because that tour was in March. We're in April. But yeah, just definitely go out and check that out. So how was it, do you say? Well, the first night was awesome. I got there March 13th. I did the LOL Comedy Club with San Antonio, which is like the comedy club to be at. You go in there and you got Dave Chappelle on the outside, Tiffany Haddish, Bert Kreischer, and then you have the wall of comedians. I'm trying to get on that wall eventually. And shout out to Miss Nietzsche. She hired me to do a show over there. Headliner Keisha Hunt. We had Michelle Cantu as a feature, and we had Tammy Bernal. And then I got to meet Nana Rodriguez, an up-and-coming comic out of Chicago. And forgive me if you're not up and coming. I heard she was brand new on the scene, and she's out there killing it. And those ladies also came to El Paso. They did the Chingona Comedy Tour at the El Paso Comic Strip, And sometimes I talk about the comic strip, sometimes I don't. And I'll save that for the 10-minute shit-talking part. So, yeah. So we had a really good run at the LOL Comedy Club. We sold out the Little Room, which I've never been in the Little Room before. I heard about it. I've always been grateful enough to be booked into the bigger room, the 300-seater room. So being in a little room, and we packed it out. And it was also my first time selling merch. So guess what? We got some merch. It's T-shirts right now with the brand new logo. So if you've been paying attention, we got the brand new logo up and running. And also, thank you. Like I said, thank you for the continued support. We got 5 stars on the podcast, so I need to keep those stars up and running. So continue to tune in and help us out. So, yeah, the first leg of the comedy tour, going to San Antonio, I'm going to let you know now, I took the kids with me. See, I'm not a bad parent. Because there's things to do in San Antonio. There was Six Flags, there was SeaWorld, there was Yippon Ramen. So if you're a ramen eater and a fan of ramen, definitely hit up Yippon Ramen. They were delicious. I don't know why my kids like ramen so much, but that's where we were. And most people, when they take their kids out on tour with them, you wouldn't think about the food, but the food is an integral part of going out because the trip was so expensive. Well, not SeaWorld. SeaWorld is still free. If you're military, go ahead and go on that website, fill out the military voucher waiver, and you have to fill it out for each person that you're bringing. And I think it's up to 4 people, which worked out great for us. So, but they get their money back. Aha, SeaWorld. You think you're slick. So where they get you is you kids always want souvenirs and food. You got to feed them. So, yeah, I spent like a good $300-400 in SeaWorld. And also because they have a fast pass now. So if you didn't know, you don't want to wait on the lines in excruciating heat or tremendous rain, because it rained while we were there. You go pay for the fast pass and you get to skip the line. And not a lot of people will pay that because it was a pretty penny as well. It was like $50 per kid. So luckily I only had 2 kids that were ride rides. And me and the twins sat and we chilled out. So they did that. right? And that was on the 14th we did that. And then I had two shows on the 14th, a show on the 15th, and a show on the 16th. The show on the 16th I didn't go to because I realized it was like a Saturday and the long drive back because we drove out to San Antonio, which isn't too bad. It's like really, really uneventful. There's no scenery outside of mountains. So if you've been on that leg of tour where you're driving through Texas, there's nothing to see. So it's pretty cool. And I always tell the kids, hey, we need to stop at Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's, like, is like a big gas station that's like a tourist trap. Even Lenny Kravitz stopped by. I can never remember to stop at the Buc-ee's. There's never a Buc-ee's on tour. And then there's the Papados restaurant I wanted to stop by. I did not get to do that. So when I go back to San Antonio or back through there, I'm definitely going to have to stop by. But the rest of the comedy tour, shout out, we got Liz, we had Renal, we had Amira, we had Shona, Shaba, we had Shanna, shout out to Shanna B. She won one of the contests that they had. Nana Rodriguez again won one of the contests again, being new. Is it lemon?
Mint.
Is what?
Mint.
Mint? I'll try it. I'm just going to be drooling on camera. Thank you. It's lemon.
No, it's mint.
It's mint, just bit by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to kill him. Oh my God, strong as fuck.
It's
It's lemon. It's lemon. She's trying to kill me, bro. Yeah. No, it's just early in the morning. Like, you know when it's early in the morning, you just wake up, you got a frog in your throat. Hopefully that's the only thing you have in your throat. But shout out to you if you got something else in there. So, yes. Thank you. Shout out to the producer. If you haven't noticed, we're back in the studio where we first started the Shenanigans Productions. We are back in Beanalog Studio. I'm here with producer DJ Luisa. Yes, so Luisa says she doesn't like when I go live. So what we're going to try is a new concept. So when I can, I'll be in the studio trying to bring guests to the studio, things like that. And then when I'm on tour and circulating the globe, I can still go live and do the podcast live because I like the intricacy of you never know what's going to happen. Because remember what the definition of shenanigans is. Stuff that's off the cuff, live and direct, and unpredictable. Like that cough trap. It's okay. It was strong. So that was the week at San Antonio. Did a couple of shows. Met a lot of comedians. Adrian Green is up and coming comedian out of Big Spring, Texas. Selena Martinez. I forgot exactly where she's from. But I met a lot of Houston comics, a lot of Big Spring comics. And then we had all the way from, I believe she was either Portland or Seattle. There was Anna. And I can't pronounce her Instagram name. But Anna Wynn was there. A little bit shocking. But, like, shout-outs all around. Lacey the comic was there. She's San Antonio based. Marie Paquette was there. Tammy Bernal again. So shout out to the females that were there participating. And then the headliners. We had Chona E. headline one show. Tori Poole was supposed to host a show. There's a Brittany there Brittany Snow, I believe, that was supposed to headline a show. So we had a few headliners that were killers. Genevieve, I never met her before, loved her set. But let's talk about comedy festivals. The thing about comedy festivals that I don't understand is, like, what are we paying into? Yes, you didn't know you had to pay into a comedy festival? Some comedy festivals, they're like $20, $35, $50. But when we ask the question, we as comedians, we ask the question, where's this money going to? What's the money for? Because it can't be $20 to put my face on a flyer and promote that I'm going to be at your comedy festival. Where does this money go to? Because we still have to pay for our own hotel, room and board, food, stuff like that. And then we didn't get paid. So I'm thinking, this is my logic. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. So when we put that money and submit for a festival, is that the money that goes to pay the headliners? Because that's what I was thinking. Like, nobody else gets paid on a comedy festival but the headliners? Did the headliners get paid? And if so, how much? Because here's my new goal. If I go to comedy festival, I want a headline. Am I headlining material? Yes. I am celebrating 8 years of stand-up comedy. What makes me headliner material, you say? My bad. Well, the fact that I have over 30 minutes of comedy. I perform 45 minutes of comedy. I'm engaging. I'm entertaining. I am bubbly. But then the main question you ask is, but are you a ticket seller? Ah, there's the rub. A ticket seller. Because I promote. Any show I'm on, I promote. I promote heavy. I promote, I share, the flyers go out, the word of mouth goes out. I'll bother people on Messenger and be like, hey, I'm inviting you to a comedy show. Come out, come see me. Because the question I always get is, when is your next show? And I'm like, are you coming? Are you coming? So comedy bookers, when you do the festivals, what is that money going to? I mean, because I'm also in a lot of comedian Facebook groups where that question has been asked over time, but it's never been answered. And I think what I want to do with this podcast is help answer questions that must be very hard to answer. Because it's like, you can't blackball a comedian for asking questions. What are their accommodations? What city am I going to be in? What am I going to do while I'm in that city? And I think a lot of promoters and bookers think like, well, I got you here. I'm putting you on a stage. And that's it. You're not helping building my platform. You're booking me with the expectation that I already have a platform in said city that I'm visiting, that people already know me, and that, yes, I'm going to bring you bundles and bundles of money. All I got right now is food and merch. So you're going to go, you're going to drink, you're going to have a good time, you're going to buy a T-shirt, right? You're going to support the comics. Because behind the scenes in comedy world, it's expensive. Because we're traveling, we got to put outfits together. And if you see me lately, I come on a jeans and T-shirt and some cute little sneakers. Because the comedy world is expensive. You want us to get an outfit. I stopped wearing makeup. Like, look at my face. I had to stop wearing makeup because I broke out so bad. Yes, I was cleaning my brushes before you sit there and be like, oh, if you know, you know. You got to clean your brushes, soap and water. Yes, I know. I got the little spin brush doohickey thing, okay? Then you try different makeup on, different foundations. Some people say that drugstore makeup is better than the high dollar makeup, like Morphe, Urban Decay, some Rihanna, Fenty and all that versus Elf and NYX and maybe she's born with it, Maybelline. True story, I have every color Maybelline lipstick. Don't judge me. So I know what goes into the wear and tear of being a person and putting ourselves together, all right, getting the outfits together. And then the logistics. Am I going to drive? Am I going to fly? Which is beneficial for me, which is convenient. And then I hear a lot of y'all flying Spirit Airlines. Good luck with that, okay? What are y'all doing in the airports? There's people fighting in the airports, arguing. I can't be part of that. I can't be part of that. And also, too, I have a minivan. You can make fun of me if you want to. But think about it. A minivan. I put the seats down in the back. I put my blankets in there, my pillows, my Stanley Cup water, and I'm good to go. So anywhere I travel to, I can drive. I'm going to sleep in my van. The homeless do it, and they don't get moved or nothing. Just don't tow me if you see me on the side of the road. Just don't tow me. That's expensive. But think about it. The logistics of showing up to a show, getting there, and hopes of, if you don't talk prices beforehand. And a lot of comics are saying, no, the first thing they do is they talk about their fee, their writer fee, if there's a deposit in that. So, like, my writer fee right now, if I perform in El Paso, no less than $100. No less than $100. I don't, because that's gas money right there and whatever food and drink I consume, right? So you're paying me for that. And that's just hosting. Because there's a difference between if you're a host, you're hosting, you're doing 10 minutes of comedy, but you're carrying that show. If that show is an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, the energy that you have to keep going, the atmosphere that you present, you're keeping the patrons engaged and active. You're letting the comics know, like, they're engaging, like, they're ready. You're revving up. It's a lot going on, right? If you're a feature, you're up there for 25 to 30 minutes. You just come up there, blam, bam, blam, do your jokes, do a couple of chuckles, jive, and then you get on stage. But headliner, 45 to an hour. That kills some people because a lot of people rely on crowd work. And we still have hecklers amongst us. What's a heckler, you ask? That's the person that's sitting in the crowd that wants to be part of the show, that wants the attention. The guy that wants to look good for his date and says stupid shit to the comic. And the comic's like, really, bro? You really want to be part of this world? You get those hecklers. I very rarely have female hecklers. So when you have a female heckler, she's just drunk and she's just like so in love with what you're saying that she doesn't mean to be a heckler, but we could tell. Yes, we could tell what kind of heckler you are. Then you have the comics that will shut down a heckler nicely. Then you have comics that will shut down a heckler and they have to run to their car because they didn't do it nicely, right? So you don't want to be either one. Because if a heckler takes over your show, that's just embarrassing. And you know what? Some hecklers are more funnier than the comedians standing on stage telling jokes. I've seen that happen. It's brutal. Awesome entertaining for me, but brutal for that comic. Because how do you survive that? Right? So that's what we talk about here on this podcast is like mostly the behind the scenes of being a comedian, going out on tour. Now, I will say with Upstage Lounge, it was their first time doing the comedy festival. So when it's the first time, you can't be so harsh in the judgment or what we call feedback, right? The critiques, But from a comedian standpoint, it was like, what was the $20 for? That wasn't explained properly. And I really think that was to pay the headliners, the ones that showed up, right? Or the host, maybe. Maybe the host got paid. Usually, you want everybody on your show to get paid. The host, the opener. Sometimes with the guest spots really don't get paid. They get 3 to 5 minutes of introduction. Like, this is your first time being here. We want to introduce the crowd to you. Do your best set. Get off the stage. Then you have your feature, like I said, 25 to 30 minutes. Then your headliner, 45 to an hour. So those are the paid spots. Host, feature, and headliner, right? But what do you do? Like, parts of the downfall with the first one was there was not a consistent host for each night of the shows. So that was a little weird. And, I'm going to speak on it because this is my podcast. So there was one point where it was an all-female comedy festival, right? And at one time, a male comic was asked to host the show. And there was a little bit of an uproar because they're like, no, if you're promoting this as an all-female comedy festival, putting a man on it defeats the purpose. Because then, instead of Femme Fiesta Comedy, it could have just been a regular comedy festival. All genders apply, right? Well, then it was brought to our attention because we didn't know. They was like, well, y'all didn't say anything about the transgendered comic. We didn't know. Homeboy/homegirl had their stuff looking okay, like put together. Like, we didn't know. And then it's like, and you don't put somebody's business out there because obviously if that person doesn't come up and say, I'm transgendered, then that wasn't for us to know. However they presented themselves, however they presented their name, their comedy, that's all that should have mattered. So when you start and compare apples and oranges, like, you have to be true to your performance. Because one, as a comedy club owner, you want us to come back. Without us, you have no show. You want us to come back. But it did end up being that the male performer did not perform. He did not host. Hopefully he didn't have an attitude about it. We don't know. But we ended up having a female host the show, and it went smoothly. But then the next gripe about it was, not a gripe, again, feedback. So then the next situation we had after we could define who's going to be hosting the shows was the lineup, the roster. Every festival, you have however many comics are going to be on it. Each night, you have the name of the comics that are going to be on it, how many sets they're going to do, or how many minutes they're going to do for their set. So we were told there were going to be 7-minute sets because there was a lot of comics. It was up to like maybe 10, 15 comics a night. All right, cool. So the email that we got had your name in the list, numbered. So you figure, well, if I'm going next to last, I'm going by the feature, and then after the feature, it's the headliner. Or you're going first after the opener, the guest speaker, the guest spot, and wherever you are in the lineup. Well, when we actually got there, it was like, here's a blank piece of paper. Write your name anywhere on it where you want to go. It turned into an open mic. That's like the worst thing you could do for a comedy festival is you have your outline, you have what you're going to do, you have the comics for the night, what night you're available. There was 2 shows, 7:30, 9:30. All right, cool. Why wasn't there a proper lineup? I'm confused. I'm not sure. But then to hand up a piece of paper, and then the host was always random hosts, right? So a host was supposed to like give you a nice quick introduction, coming up to the stage all the way from California, give it up for so and so. Or if you have credits, which a lot of us do, this person's performed at Inn in the Mountain Gods Club 49, El Paso Comedy Comic Strip, LOL San Antonio Comedy Club, give it up for, so and so. So with having random rotational hosts, they really don't get the gist of your bio. So it's basically pointless to introduce you. So they're up there on stage, flapping in the wind, talking about, oh, all right, y'all ready for your next comic? On a 2-hour show, I'm sure the crowd was tired of hearing, are you ready for your next comic? They knew that there was going to be more than 2 comics. So get rid of, are you ready for your next comic? If they tell you no, what are you going to do? That's embarrassing. Right? So there was no fire lineup. There was no organizational per se. But like I said, the women came up there. They did their thing. They had fun. They got to tour San Antonio, see the scenes around and everything. But again, it was the first comedy festival for that particular venue. Yeah. And I know what you're saying, but think about it. Comics from all over came out. Like I said, we had comics from Seattle, Portland, Big Spring, Texas. So a lot of comics from Texas, but we had California comics come out. Because the thing about being a comedian is now not every stage is your stage, but every opportunity to get on stage is your stage. Every chance you get, because that's how we build our momentum, is going out there, touring, getting on stages, getting in front of people. But again, the new thing now for comics, because now we have a lot of TikTok comics. They've been using TikTok as their platform to do jokes and skits. And then, unfortunately, they get on that stage. It's not the same thing. Because remember, TikTok, you can film your stuff, edit your stuff, enhance it, and put it out on that social media platform. But when you're on a live stage in front of a live studio audience, there's no editing. There's no mess-ups. Well, there's going to be mess-ups. There's going to be a lot of mess-ups that you can't sit there and go back and delete, cut out. You can't redo the sound. It's what it is, okay? So work on your craft. If you're going to be a TikTok comic, maybe that's the platform you should stay on. Just like for those that are on YouTube. YouTube was really big when they started out with content creating. And then when you transform, it doesn't flow the same. It's not a copy-paste technique. It doesn't work that way. You have to put in so much more work being on stage. Speaking of which, so this past Wednesday, we did the Hot Wing Roulette Challenge. And again, it was the first of its kind. So the premise was you roll a roulette wheel, and whatever number and color it lands on is how many wings you can eat of that particular flavor. Now, y'all don't know, I have braces. I can't eat chicken wings that fast. So, and luckily I only had to do 1 wing, and it was buffalo. But the premise was you eat a hot wing, depending on how hot it is, and then you're supposed to go and do a 5-minute routine. I would have liked it better if it was you do a 5-minute routine, and if you bomb, the audience is like, yeah, give them like 3 ghost pepper wings and tell them to shut up. That would have been me. I don't know. But I went up there, I did my thing. But it's funny to see comics that bomb naturally all the time bomb harder when there's chicken wings involved. That was brutal. That was brutal. Comedians, you have to remember, even if it was a free show where patrons weren't charged to get in, every show you should do your best, because these are the people that are going to remember that they saw you. They might not remember the exact time, location, venue, they might remember, oh, yeah, if they were traveling through El Paso, they'll remember, oh, I was in El Paso and I was at this comedy show and they were eating chicken wings and I don't know what was going on, but it was dry for like an hour. That's bad. That is so bad, comics. You know, like an open mic, I get it. An open mic, you're supposed to practice your new sets, your new material, or work on jokes that do work. And like you're adding tags to make it funnier because you're working for time. It was a 5 minute set, and now you got to make a 5 minute set, a 10 minute set. So you work on that. You hone your craft at open mics. But when you have shows and showcases that people pay their hard earned money in these inflation times to come and see you, unbeknownst to them. I'm not gonna say you're a no-name comic. They don't know you. They're taking a chance and coming to see you. This is where you're building a name for yourself. And you go up there and you do trash comedy. Like, why? Why would you do that? And then you're like, well, you're just talking shit. You're right, partly. But remember, I'm celebrating 8 years of being a bookable comedian. All right? I do have my clean comedy because there's some places where they won't let you do the F words. Or I don't say the N word. There's a lot of words I don't say. There's a lot of topics I don't talk about. I don't do the racial unless I'm introducing myself, but I don't talk about race. And I don't talk about politics. Politics gets people in an uproar. It's too much. And it's really hard to do political humor because when you start dividing the room, and remember, you only have 5 minutes. You divide that room, and you make it hard for every comedian after you to bring that room back, get the happy back. Because remember, when people come to comedy shows, they are forgetting the bad that happened at work. They're tired. If they had a fight with their significant other, but they still managed to come out of the show and get some laughs going. You know, there's a death in the family we don't know about, but they still come out and get the laughs. Our job is, as a comedian, is similar to the court jester, right? We smile through the pain. We laugh through the hurt. And we bring people together because laughter is the best medicine. I think a lot of comics forget that. A lot of comics get on stage and they're like, well, I want to be controversial because I want to be remembered. Or I want to be Sam Kinison because he said anything. He screamed in a microphone and he became famous. I want to be Mitch Hedberg. I want to say off-the-wall one-liners and be great at it, that to the point where, yes, you're going to pay me oodles and oodles of money so I can sell out the Madison Square Garden. Comics, that's not how it works. First off, stop imitating. Stop the imitation. You're trying to copy a dead comic that, depending on the generation, nobody's heard of. And I think that's where you're doing it because nobody's heard of that person. That person's long gone. So you're like, I'm going to be that next person. I'm going to steal their routine. And we still have comics. Excuse me. We still have comics that are not only stealing the routine, you're stealing the jokes, bro. Look at me getting emotional. I love comedy so much. That's why I got into it. I got into it for the sheer thrill of it. It is an adrenaline rush to get on stage in front of people to make them laugh. And you have to remember, you can't just make 1 or 2 people laugh. In a room full of 50 people should be laughing. In a room full of 150 people should be laughing, right? So stop dividing the room. Write, and write some more. You know? I don't have all the answers. I promise you I don't. But I have delivery. I have stage presence. I have time. I have content. So you take that and you remember the basic formula of comedy. Time plus tragedy equals comedy. Everything doesn't have to be so dark. There's a lot of comics that get on stage and they sound like they're writing an entry into their journal. Dear Diary, today I went out for a walk and I was contemplating my life. What's funny about that? Dear Diary, today I went out for a walk and stepped on a manhole. And a turtle jumped out at me. And I'm not in New York. See, what's funny about that? Put the tags in there. Put the twist in there. and then keep tweaking it. It might not be. Every joke starts as a thought, right? That's your premise. What do I want to talk about? What do I want to joke about? And how do I make it relatable to everyone in the room, right? A lot of my jokes, I talk about dating. I'm 46 years old. I'll be 47 years old. You know, I can go with the cougar. I can go with the MILF. I have different avenues. Dating as a single mom, I can talk about that, right? But it's relatable because everybody's in it. A lot of people are going to be in their 40s, or people that are coming up in their 20s. They're still dating. 30s, you're still dating. You're dating to get married, or you're dating just to have a good time. It's relatable content. Dating with kids, for those of us that have kids, you have different ages. Kids come in all different sizes, shapes, and ages, right? How does dating affect your life when you have children? You know? Excuse me. Oh my gosh. Sunday morning, I'm talking. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, like I said, you know the platform. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. I put your questions, put your comments, and I'll address it. We'll do an episode, and I'll address it. I have no problems stand 10 toes down addressing the issues of stand-up comedy. Because somebody will say, well, there's no one way to do comedy. I never touched on that. I never said that you have to do it a certain way. But what I did say is be entertaining, be engaging, and don't bash the crowd. If you're standing up there in your first 2 minutes and you're staring at the crowd and nobody's laughing, but they're staring at you, they're looking at you because you're on stage, and you go, why aren't you laughing? You haven't heard a joke before? And I've had the pleasure of being in a room when an audience member says, well, you haven't told the joke yet. And they got the laugh, right? Don't bash the crowd, because when I always tell comedians, it's a long walk to the parking lot wherever you park your car. That's what I mean. You say the wrong thing, you bash the crowd. There's always that one person that's like, oh, you think you're a tough guy? Come here, let me show you something. You know, we don't condone violence. We don't condone anger. That's the complete opposite of what comedy is. Your goal is to make everyone in the room laugh. Now, the hard part about that is your comedy might not be for everybody. So, where I said your goal is to make 50 people laugh, if there's 50 people in that room and only 45 people laugh, you did your job. Because some people might not get you. You might be too quirky, too blue collar, too dark. Because a lot of people want to do dark comedy. And speaking on dark comedy, we had a local comedian here that decided to use the N-word for the very first time in his set. And it shocked all of us that are, I don't want to say there's a group of us that are allowed to say it culturally, because technically you can say any word, but it's the consequences of saying that word. What was your goal, right? Like I said, I don't say the N-word. I might say it in conversation behind closed doors with my people, but everybody's my people. But when you're on stage and you just decide, like sometimes you're just feeling it, you're going with the flow, you're excited, you're happy, you're getting the laughs, and you just drop that N-bomb, and you're not an N-bomb person dropper, it was awkward, you know. And he went and apologized to all of us African-American identifying comics, because y'all know I'm mixed. I talk about it all the time. The other comics are mixed. Some of them are full African-American. And it's like, it was just a shock, right? It was such a shock that another comedian went and checked him right there. Like when he came off the stage, he's like, hey, he taps him on the shoulder. He's like, let's go outside and talk about this, you know? And the male comics, they had their little conversation. And what I liked about it was that it was engaging, that people were able to just talk. There was no shouting. There was no disrespect. There was no hands being thrown. It was a conversation. It was a teachable moment. It's like, hey, why did you decide, after all this time of being a comedian, to drop an N-word bomb? And he was like, well, I felt comfortable. I felt confident. I felt that I had the support of all my comedy brothers and sisters in the room because, and true to his testimony, 3 comics went up before him and dropped, you know, the N-word in their routine, right? But we told him. And then for him, when he dropped it, it flowed with what he was talking about. He was talking about the "cuh" culture. If you know what the "cuh" is here in El Paso, it's the Mexican American males, and they have a certain type of haircut. They talk a certain way. They have a certain lifestyle. And he was talking about that, but instead of saying "cuh," he replaced it with the N word, right? It flowed. So it wasn't that it was offensive. It was the surprise of it was the fact that you felt so comfortable that if you were going to say it now at an open mic, are you going to be able to say it again on a mainstream stage? Are you going to be able to say it again in a room full of African American audience members? Because you have to remember, when we get booked for shows, we do sometimes get all one race or a predominant race in that room. Just like you have your Caucasian American crowd, you have your African American crowd. And I promise you, there's a difference. I promise you, there's different types of joke telling. And there are Indian American comics that can kill in an all black room. And there are black comics that can kill in an all white room. Okay? But it takes skill. It takes practice. It takes writing. And it takes thought. It takes empathy. Because just because you have a platform to say certain things doesn't mean you just let it fly. And I think a lot of comics lose base of that. There was a comic that performed where he was, I call him the fake Bert Kreischer. Everybody knows Bert Kreischer takes his shirt off when he's on stage. That's been his shtick, right? That's his niche. That's what he gets paid for. So this other comic decided, well, I'm going to do one even better. I'm going to take my shirt off and put swastikas on my body. Again, what message are you conveying? Were you trying to be a shock comic because it's the new edgy thing to do? Are you trying to kill your platform? Because a lot of us in the comedy world, we all say there's no such thing as cancel culture. We don't just cancel anything except for a subscription. And a lot of us are not good at that, right? So you don't really get canceled. You just get people that might not come to your shows. But for every 10 people that won't come to your shows, you can get 5 more people that will. So there's not really a cancel culture in comedy because we don't have a retirement package. We don't have a severance pay. It's not like, here's your pink slip, thank you for trying, but no. You just keep going, different cities, different stages, different environments. You are free to rebrand yourself, right? You can go from blue collar to clean comedy because honestly, that's where the pay's at. When you do clean comedy, and I mean clean comedy where you're not using heavy curse words, you're not talking about Pornhub subjects, like the real good, wholesome, like when you find out there's a 6-year-old in the room, like you can still sleep good in the morning, at night. Well, in the morning for us because we work at night. That kind of thing. And again, not bashing anybody. I feel like you have to put your best foot forward. You don't know what works until you go out there and do it. And when other comedians pull you aside and be like, you know what? That wasn't the move. You know what? If you take this word out and substitute it with this word, the joke will flow better. Because I feel comedy, we lost our mentorships. We don't have mentorships like other business professions and trade school professions where somebody's done it, been there, done that. Let me take you under my wing, show you what works, show you the ropes, how to recover, how to get better, how to get more bookings. We don't have mentorship in our field. So it's really hard to do, So again, comedy, you are an independent contractor. So remember, whatever you choose to go on stage and talk about, that's all you. That's your name being ran through the mug. So it's not so much cancel culture. It's, did you cross a line to the point of no return? We still have comedians that want to do rape jokes. We still have comedians that want to talk about abortion, human trafficking, sex jokes. Again, your job as a comedian is to make people laugh. you got to be a strong writer when you talk about those subjects. Especially, you know, like if you saw my last podcast episode, we was talking shit about Diddy. It's funny in hindsight because as a comedian, we find the humor in everything. I'm not gonna lie, we find the humor in everything, but our culture as a society, it's not good to laugh at that. It's a hard time, but what we also say is, yeah, if it's not directly related to you, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. People will laugh at the most inane, awkward, serious, not so serious, goofy. People laugh at a lot of things. So again, that's where the joke writing comes from. You know, you see it on memes all the time. We laugh at the memes. Some of us might not like put the little laughing emoji on there. We'll laugh at it and scroll, or we'll take a screenshot and save it for later and wait till the dust settles and repost that meme. Because you notice how if you post a meme that your friend posted 2 days ago, you get the content violation and you get the warning. And I've never been banned on Facebook, thank God, because my platform solely well, not solely, but heavily relies on Facebook. Can you imagine being banned on Facebook for 30 days and that's like one of your sources of income? Like, what do you do in that moment? How do you recover from that? And speaking of Facebook, can we stop getting hacked on Facebook? Can we please? Because that's like the craziest thing. They're getting hacked on Facebook. How? How are you still, hey, I need $20. I need $200. Do you know this person? And what people are doing, they're stealing your friend's profile. They're stealing your friend's page, and they're sending you, like, friend requests. I have friend requests from one person. It's like 10 of them. I'm like, look, bro, if you don't send me a Telegram or a text message that says, hey, I got a new Facebook page, I'm not accepting it. You're going to sit in the queue. All right? You're just going to sit there. Like, all these friend requests. I have over 600 friend requests. Like, how do you still get hacked in 2024? And you're like, and before you come for me, I get it. AT&T, they got the data breach. Well, I don't have a good credit score, so if you got my data breach from AT&T, just keep my phone on. My phone was on SOS mode for like a week. Like, can we just keep the phones on? Because sometimes I like texting people. Don't call me. I don't want to talk to you. Just text me, you know? But I need my phone sometimes. Oh, the computer went out. Is that cool? Louisa, the computer went out. Is that cool?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just,
So yeah, like the big AT&T first they went out for a week and then they offered everybody a $5 credit, and that didn't help me out because I'm still like $400 in the hole. So thanks. And then after that it was like AT&T data breach. Everybody's information got sold on a worldwide black web, and I'm just like, all right, well, help increase my credit score, please, because I'm trying to buy a house. That'd be nice. Other than that, yeah, the world is your stage, literally, figuratively. So comedians, get better, right? I've been on a 2-year writer's block. And I think it's just partly from being lazy. Like, I do a lot of things, and when I have the time, I close my eyes and take a nap, So I get that there's such a thing as burnout, where you're doing so much. Because there's a lot of comedians that they can't say that they do comedy full time and that's their main source of income, where it pays their mortgage, it pays their utilities, their phone bill, it's putting their kids through college. A lot of us are not on that level yet. So a lot of us still have to get jobs, right? So we're out there, we're working at banks, we're working at sweatshops somewhere, because, if you're working for somebody, you sweating, right? So a lot of us have to keep up other types of employment, and we have to arrange our comedy career around our main bread and butter, our main source of income. And it's hard out there. So when you see a comic and you're like, well, why haven't you blown up yet? You're hilarious. Because they got bills to pay, all right? And inflation is not helping, and it's not going away anytime soon. So get out there and vote. Yeah, vote. I don't know who your preference is. We're not going to talk about that. Like I said, I stay away from politics, but go out and vote. Oh, well, voting doesn't matter. My right doesn't matter. How do you know if you don't do it? I'll admit it. I voted for Obama twice for the wrong reasons. I'm sorry. I love to vote for a Native American president. That'd be wild to have a Native American president, right? Like, you're building up walls to keep Mexicans out. Can you imagine building a wall and, like, everybody's indigenous is on this side and everybody that's not indigenous? Are you going to put them on a boat and send them back to Europe? That's wild. But that's just a thought. Like, that's a premise. Feel free to use that and write a joke about it. But see, that's where the comedy comes from. You get an idea, you get a thought, and you write about it. And that's all comedy is. It's just thoughts. And then you act them out on stage. And hopefully they're your own thoughts and not stolen material. So stop stealing jokes. All right? And then we got a shout out. So we have an influx of comedians that happen to be females in El Paso taking the stage by storm. Most of them, not to downplay it, but usually when you come into the comedy scene it's because you know somebody. And these women are either dating or married to comics that have established themselves. The comics are like 6 months, a year in, 2 years in. And their significant others are like, they see me on stage and they're like, I can do this. But you have to practice a lot. And let's talk about it. Well, it's my podcast. We are going to talk about it. What I'm seeing is I commend you if it's your first time doing comedy because you come around, you come around the comics, you hang out with them, you watch them on stages of various platforms. Because remember, like open mics again are the gyms where you work out brand new jokes or you work out jokes that already are in the process and you're lengthening them, making them stronger. Adding material to them. That's what open mics are. The bread it comes in from showcases, right? Getting booked, being on a flyer. The flyers are your resume, shows who have you worked with on that flyer, shows what comedy clubs are booking you. So that's your resume, right? So when you come to an open mic, that's the only time where you'll have your phone out. Your phone, because you use the notes in your phone, you type the joke out, you don't remember it, you don't have it memorized yet. So at open mic, you use the open mic to memorize your jokes, memorize your material, right? Because again, what did we say earlier in the show? And remember, if you're just tuning in, it's Shenanigans with Sharita. Whoop, 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 whoop. Thank you for being here, where we talk about comedy and other things, and entertainment, right? So open mic, gym, you practice. But again, we said stage presence, time, your delivery. How are you looking at are you looking at the crowd? Are you playing with the microphone cord? Are you leaning against the microphone stand like it's your buddy holding you up from a binge night of drinking? Right? All of that. Are you sitting on a stool just because the stool is up there, you thought you were supposed to sit on it? The stool is for your phone. You're supposed to be recording your set. So how are you using your phone to look at your jokes? But you're not recording your set. You record your set because you have the audio, you play it back, because a lot of comics will tell you, I don't like the sound of my voice. Honey, if you don't like the sound of your voice, what do you think the audience is going to like? That's awkward to me. You want people to listen to you, but you can't listen to yourself? That's wild, bro. Come on. You have to listen to yourself. You know why? Where do you take your pauses? Where do you stutter at? Where do you have a problem enunciating? You all know I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I have a heavy accent. You know, sometimes I talk like this, and then sometimes I can talk proper. Just depends on the adrenaline rush, the nervousness, what was going on before I got on stage, what is going to happen while I'm on stage, right? There's a lot of factors that go into your stage performance that you need to record that, listen to it, so you could take it out. How many times did you say, take that out? How many times did you, like, are you doing a remix? You know, like, take those out. Unless you're going to use those quirks in your comedy routine, take it out. Then the video portion of your set. What were you doing on stage? How were you standing? What were you looking at? What were you wearing? All of that, the angles, you know, all of that is important because a lot of times when you see Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, comedians are putting their sets up or they're putting up their pictures, right? So they have the fronts of you, the headshots. You need a good headshot. If you're not used to taking pictures, you're not used to looking at yourself, you're not going to be as marketable. So you need to start, what's going to be my angle? What am I going to wear? Like I said, female, I like that y'all come out there. Y'all wear what y'all are comfortable. Everybody's in hoodies because it's still cold outside. Hoodies, jeans, and sneakers. Don't worry so much about what you're wearing right now. Worry about your delivery. Worry about what you're trying to say. Worry about what kind of comic you're going to be. Then the rest falls into play. Because if you want to dress up and you want to put the makeup on, by all means, go do it. But make sure it doesn't take away from your talent, your comedy presence, right? And because the guys, they don't care. They just go up on stage, whatever they're wearing, and they're comfortable, they're cool. They don't. Guys don't think as much as women do about the accessories and the intricacies. Like for me, I will have my nails done. My nails is always done because I'm holding the microphone, and if that's the only detail you see, yep, my nails was cute. Form of self-care for me, like I want to look good when I'm holding the microphone, but I'm a single mom, so I can't afford to go out and get the Fendi bag, and I can't put on the Manolo Birkin and all of that. Look, I shop at Ross. All right, I'm wearing the latest and greatest from Ross on discount, and I will hurry up and give them my military ID for extra discount. That's me, comfortable. So yeah, make sure that whatever your on stage is, your stage presence. And you, when you're first starting out, don't change your image too much, right? Because you're going to confuse a lot of people. They're coming out to see you. They remember you in one way. And until you gain your following, gain your tribe, don't change up so fast, okay? So shout out to the new female comics that we got coming out of El Paso, getting on stage. It's funny when girl, she goes, I'm a stand-up comedian. No, babe, you're an open micer. You just started. You have one open mic. It takes a lot to become a stand-up comedian. And I heard, the rumor goes that you're not a stand-up comedian until another semi-famous comedian tells you, hey, welcome to the stand-up comedy world. You're officially a stand-up comedian. I don't know if that's still true. Let me know in the comments. Hit me up. And let me know when are you officially a stand-up comedian? Because my definition of a stand-up comedian is you get paid. You get constant bookings, and you're getting paid to be a stand-up comedian. Like, it's actually your profession now. Open micers, you come out and you get a feel from the stage. You get a feel of the crowd. It's exciting that first time, that adrenaline rush. But then when you can't replicate the laughter that you got and the emotion that you got the second time around, you start quitting. You start self-doubting. And you're just like, nah. And it's okay. It's okay. It's not for everybody. Everybody thinks they can do it until they're actually on stage doing it. And it's like, yikes. And then you have to wear a coat of armor, because in all factors of life, you're getting judged. You're getting judged hard, okay, by comedians, non-comedians, wannabe comedians, people of all walks of life. We get judged every day, from the way we look, the way we talk, the way we walk, whatever. You're getting judged. If you can't handle getting feedback, because that's the word of the day, feedback. We don't say critique, because it sounds cold and demeaning. But if you say feedback, if you can't handle getting feedback and not be defensive about it, you're not going to make it. And again, remember, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The goal is to get 50 people in the room, to get all 50 people to laugh at you, right? But you only have 40 people laughing. 5 of those people are critiquing you. Now, the 40 people that laughed, only 3 might come up to you and say, you were so funny. I loved your set. Keep going. Then some people, I've had it to where I did a killer set, stood by the door to shake people's hands and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Hope to see you at the next show. Well, they just stone cold looked at me and went to the next comic and said, you're going to go far. You're going to be famous. And I'm just standing there like, so I guess I should just be the roadie then, huh? It hurts the first couple of times. But again, you can't let the negative deter you from your journey. Because if we all got bad reviews and bad feedback, we never leave our mama's couch. Okay? So go out there, do your thing. Go to the shows if you're a supporter. Listen to the podcast, download, subscribe. I'm looking for subscribers. You know, we got that up on there now. So feel free to subscribe. And always, always, always hit us up on the social medias. We're on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Whatever social media platform you use, I'm probably on it. And submit your questions, your comments, and we'll put it in the next podcast episode. If you're here in El Paso, it's April 7th. It is a Sunday, so you'll probably hear this later. Charles Allen is in town. I've done a few shows with him over at Big Mike's place. Houston comic, all the way here in El Paso. He comes out here a lot, and he's finally on the comic strip stage. And I've seen the pictures. I've seen the crowds. You guys are liking him. You guys filled up the room for him. So thank you for that. You know, it's always good to have somebody that you've worked with, and you see them thriving, all right? He didn't get me a spot, but I got to work on my own spots, and I understand that. I know that sounds passive-aggressive. No, but remember what I talked about. We always do a 10-minute shit-talking session. I did invite him to come on to the podcast today. He didn't wake up in time. It happens, but he's got a show tonight. The last show, 7:30 at the El Paso Comic Strip. Go see what Charles is talking about. Like I said, you've seen us tear up the stage over at Big Mike's place. You've seen him in Houston. He's working with Omar Gooding. Omar Gooding is an actor turned comedian. He's working with Charlie Mack. He's working with Michael Shields. He's working with good names, big names. Anna J. Ramirez out of Corpus. Adrienne Green out of Big Springs. And I mentioned her before. She's out of... She was at the Comedy Fiesta, so there's a lot of comics. And I'm not a hater. That's why I'm bringing up everybody's name. I'm not a hater at all. My journey is my journey. Your journey is your journey. And then we cross paths on that journey. We share the stage. We share some laughs. We take pictures together, and we keep it moving, you know. Which brings me to this. Why be somebody's friend on Facebook if you're not going to like, share, comment, react? That's weird to me. That is so weird. And then the algorithm allows it to happen. There's people that I have served with in the Army side, tons of them, on my Facebook as friends, nothing. And then the people that I've met in the comedy world, nothing. Why y'all on there? Huh? Why y'all on there? Like, are you just watching? Because I don't really do anything with my Facebook. You know, I share people, like if there's a new karaoke spot in town, I'll share that flyer. And then, but which brings me to a good point. I had somebody say, why did you share a flyer of a show that you're not on? Because it confused me. I went to that show to go see you. And I felt bad. And I had to explain to them that 9 times out of 10, I get booked because I'm supportive. I get booked because I am sharing someone else's experience, right? And they didn't get it. They were like, but you weren't on the flyer. I said, well, that should have been an indication right there. I'm not on the show, but I should still be able to support. Yeah. I should still be able to share that, oh, so-and-so is coming to town. I've already seen them. So that's my way of vouching for that comic, that fellow comic. Because in the comedy world, we're all coworkers. You know, you're on a show with Paul Rodriguez. Paul Rodriguez has been doing comedy 25 plus years, but you're on a show with him. We're all co-workers at this point. And that's a blessing to be on a stage, sharing a stage with somebody that's been in the business 20, 25 years plus and are successful. They have movie credits. That's networking. You know, and it's not riding coattails. It's not like faking a funk. It's not kiss-assing. Because in the comedy world, kiss-assing gets you nowhere, right? Just like when people tell you, hey, stick with me, kid, you're going to go far. No, you're going to the parking lot. That's it. Okay? You're going home, right? The whole females, if you're still falling for the, oh, I slept with him because he told me, I'm not judging you, but I'm going to let you know that's not the move. Or if you're a male sleeping with somebody thinking you're going to get stage time, that's weird energy. What gets you stage time? Your talent, your dedication, your efforts, and most importantly, your journey. That's it. That's it. That's the bottom line. Okay? I wanted to talk, more about the whole scandals that goes on, but then I wouldn't have anything to talk about on the next episode. Right? So, yes. So, with that being said, this has been the weekly. I'm going to get better with the weekly. I'm going to get better. I keep telling y'all I'm going to get better at doing weekly podcasts to build up the momentum and keep the momentum there. So this has been your weekly episode. Look for it on all social media platforms. I'm going to put all podcast episodes that I'm going to put out there. Thank you for buying the merch. Thank you for being supportive. Thank you for sharing, liking, because I have a lot of supporters sharing and everything. So I'm going to continue to do the same. I'm going to continue to share. I'm going to continue to support. I'm not a hater. You know, you might not book me for a show. It's all love. It's all love. I've only had one person tell me, shout out to my Cia Charrier, because she was there at the Femme Comedy Fiesta. She performed. And she told me, she was like, I would love to book you, but I can't afford you. That's the best thing you can tell somebody instead of having them sit there thinking, well, why am I not getting booked? You know, I had one comic tell me, Josh Castro, yes, I'm dropping names. Josh Castro, he told me, when I asked him, I said, how do I get more bookings? That was the question. How do I get more bookings? He says, nobody knows you. Okay, now that we covered that, how do I get more bookings? Answer the question. How do I get more bookings? Because surprisingly, people know me. When I leave El Paso and I go on these trips and I show up, do you know how many people come up to me like, oh my gosh, it's so great to meet you in the flesh? I'm like, you know me? You know me? They're like, yeah, I heard so much about you. I've seen you on Facebook. I've seen you on Instagram. You put your skits out. You put your content out. You put your you got a podcast? I want to be on your podcast. And I have to learn how to get people on podcasts that's not physically in the same space. I'm working on that. Because that would be great to have a podcast episode where the comics in another city, we get them on a show, we talk, shoot the shit, and everything like that. So we'll work on that. But to sit there and tell me nobody knows you, that sounds like a hater comment. I'm just going to say, sound like a hater. You know? A little ting-ting-wink-ting. Ting-ting-wink-ting.
It's the promoter being lazy. They don't want to do their work.
That too. That too. So stop saying that you need more female comics, knowing that there are female comics.
You need us.
You do need us.
Yeah, your promoters need us. We don't need you. You're just a middle person.
Right.
Middle person.
But you need us on them stages to fill them seats. And then you're like, well, I can get so-and-so and so-and-so. I'll wait. Go get them then. Go get them. But again, like I said, that's been Shenanigans with Sharita. I'll come and see you guys soon. Thank you for supporting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you on the next chat. Be safe and happy April, whatever is in April. And then next week, got some dates coming up. I'll be in the RGV area. South Padre Island is coming up. I'm so excited. And then we'll talk about that. See you later.